When you're somebody who in your backswing naturally gets the arms a little bit more rounded, right? Like you have a little bit of a flatter hand path in your backswing. Flatter just meaning like they're working a little bit more around you this way. Naturally, when the hands get more rounded, there needs to be something to offset that in the downswing. Meaning for every action, there has to be an opposite and equal reaction, right? Like that's the natural way the swing works. So if the hands are working flatter on the way back and more inside, then they have to work back out in front of you, right? If you're somebody who has the hands be a little higher, there needs to be some element of rerouting them back down inside. So in your case, the problem is you kind of compound the problem because you have the hand path that works in and around you, but then in transition, you have this like elevation from the front side. So your front shoulder and front hip go up too fast, and there's like this big separation where the chest doesn't rotate well early in the downswing. And anything can be overdone in golf, right? Including things that we would deem as like good. So the separation, for some golfers, it's like that separation is important to drop the club, let's say like in the slot, as they call it. In your case, you have a very, very deep arm structure. So if you have too much separation now, the hands and club are going to lower too much, and then they get stuck from the inside. And you can see how elevated my front shoulder is. You can see how close to the target my chest is, right? And so what ends up happening is now my path moves too far from the inside, and I'm either just going to hit like straight blocks a mile out to the right in my case, or I'm going to flip the hands over, and you usually see like a very vertical exit of the club with a lot of like draw effect, pull, draw, snap hooks, and whatever. So the problem that you're creating is that you basically have a very big draw element of the arms being flatter, and then you combine it with another draw element of the separation, which just gets the club stuck behind you. That's the way that you have to kind of think about it, right? There's too many draw moves in your golf swing. So we need a fade bias movement to offset that problem. So in theory, we can get the hands higher in the backswing. We've talked about this before, but like we can get the arm plane more upright so that even if you create that separation, the club will come down a little bit more neutral. Like even if the chest stays close to the target, the hands will drop. But if they drop from a more upright pattern, it's not the end of the world. If they drop from a flatter pattern, it is a big problem because you get stuck, right? So in theory, you can just say, hey, I'm just going to accept what my pivot is. My body's always going to move the same way. Let's just work with the separation that I create naturally, especially if your body's not injured. You can just get the hands higher, it's fine. But there's another scenario where we can improve the way your body moves through the ball. And in doing that, in creating less separation, so basically reducing that X factor stretch, really getting the chest to open up, that can work the hand path back out in front of you. Because now if I keep my front hip, front shoulder, for example, lower in my transition, so instead of them just working up too fast, and that's what drops the hands, I keep them down and around. The more my chest rotates with my hips and I don't create so much separation, the more my hand path is actually going to work back out in front of me. It's a very outward movement to the hands. In your case, that would help you because obviously your arm plane's a little bit flatter. If I kept the left hip, left shoulder down and opening up, the hands would work out. It'll feel very steep for you. But because you're somebody who's so shallow as it is, you can afford to do it without the risk of getting too steep on the ball. And now your hands would have more space. You wouldn't be stuck down here. And your body would be continuing to open up and can continue to kind of turn the corner. And you would see naturally less flippiness to the hands because of the body. And you would see the club exiting more around you instead of like the club exiting out and away from you with a lot of club face rotation to try to prevent you from hitting a block, right? So that would be the idea, right? So it's like we get to the top, we just accept that you have the flatter arm plane, and then we really rotate around, and we can keep things a lot straighter into the golf ball. And obviously, if you're not lazy like me there, you would hit it a lot better. So the best drill for this is you're going to take an alignment stick and you're going to put it through your belt loops, okay? Now, always try to wear a belt so you can clip it on the belt buckle, so that way it keeps it a little bit flatter, right? So that if there's no belt buckle or no belt there, it kind of just dangles. I want it parallel to the ground. So keep it like this. Most of the stick's sticking out of that front side. Take a secondary alignment stick, put it across your shoulder blades just as a reference point. When we go to the top, so let's say we're here, I see a lot of people working on drills where it's like, they're trying to get the two sticks to connect or anything like that. We don't need any of that here. What we want to be doing is in our transition, we don't want the front side to come up too fast where there's too much separation here. Hips are pushing to the target, chest is closed and staying back. We don't want that. You have too much of that as it is. So we're actually going to want not only the sticks to stay tilted down, so that way we're not elevating the front side, which drops the hands. We're keeping the front sticks down and opening up. But as you do this, I don't want you to feel like your hips need to go first and your chest stays close to the target or anything like that. Let your chest go with it, meaning I want your chest to rotate sooner with the left shoulder, or left shoulder for me, right shoulder for you was a lefty. So the lead shoulder staying down and opening up. And if the hips rotate with the chest, or sorry, the chest rotates with the hips, that's totally fine. So you're going to go to the top of your backswing and then really sticks stay down and you open up all together. There's no separation here. We're trying to reduce the amount of separation you have. And as I do this, you can see the hand path working out. So if I were to hold the club now and recreate that same sensation from the flatter backswing, stick down and opening up, front shoulder down and opening up, you can see that my chest doesn't tilt back, but my chest is almost going to feel like it's rotating through the ball. My sternum is lining up more over my front foot here. I'm not tilting my chest back, right? That's totally fine. So front shoulder, front hip down and around. And again, this is an exaggerated feel. The idea is not to be stuck, right? So you're going to go to the top and pause, and then front hip, front shoulder down and around. It's going to feel a lot steeper into the ball. It's going to feel like you're hitting down on it more. It's going to feel like you're taking a little bit of a bigger divot. It's going to feel like you're getting a little bit more on top of the ball. And obviously, it's going to feel like a very fade bias movement, because the more I let the chest open up, the more the hands and club kick out. So the rehearsal might be extreme, but in reality, you're kind of here, and we just want to find a neutral, happy medium where the club just drops into a more appropriate position so that I can just continue to open up, okay? So front shoulder, front hip down, don't create separation, let everything really open up, work through a lot of half and three-quarter swings, and then we're going to build our way up, okay?